G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking and great to have you along for the first time in 2023. It is Wednesday, January the 18th and it's great to be back. Seems like just yesterday we were on air, but 4 weeks I think or something I think it's gone past. So great to as I said be along for 2023. A little bit of a mix up tonight. We've got a combination, a little bit of the deep dive show and talking boxing. I am on my own in this show. Everyone that normally does the show has got some stuff on, or might be away, or got a little bit on at the moment. So it's just me. So as I said, it will be a combination of deep dive and talking boxing. So if you haven't actually been part of the show before, if you're watching this live, because we do get a lot of people watch it after the fact and listen to it on Spotify, welcome to those as well that are watching or listening. But if you are here live, then the way it works is if you want to put a comment or question into the comment section there, we're going to talk some boxing. I'm going to go through all the latest. There's a lot that's happened in the last month or so. So, as I said, if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment or whatever it might be, put it in the comment section there and we'll discuss anything that you guys want to talk about. This is your show. And as I say every week, let's talk some boxing. What I will do also, guys, we'll see how we go with the streaming quality. It is still a little bit overcast. Apologies about last night, by the way. We were supposed to go live in about 30 minutes before I was supposed to come on air. The power went out. Now, I do live in an area that's prone to these sorts of things. Blackouts, a lot of trees not around, a lot of bad weather. So 30 minutes beforehand, down she went, and we had nothing till about 10:30 at night, I think it was. So again, apologies, but here we are. So hopefully we get a few that will watch the show, either live or on repeat. Mohammed, great to have you along, mate. Legend, good to have you back. You guys are legends too, guys. Really appreciate the follow. Smash that like button, folks. Thanks, mate. Carl, I knew you'd be back here. G'day, Lynn. Hope you had a good break, mate. I actually did have a pretty good break. We obviously went, I think we did the show, was it Christmas week? I think it was the last one. So it just seems like yesterday, but what's that, about 4 weeks or 3 weeks ago? But yeah, I did have a good break, mate. It was, we obviously went away for, was it 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, and straight into Christmas, so it was pretty hectic, and my business is involved in the liquor industry, so it's pretty hectic time. So welcome to all you guys. So again, we've got a lot to get through, heaps of stuff going on in the Aussie market, and also a lot going on in the world demographic at the moment. I'll spit that out. And even today, some big news featuring, was it Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, which we'll go through in a little bit as well. So what I'm going to do, guys, if you do actually want to come on at some stage, as I said, we'll see how the stream goes. I'm going to copy the link. Where are we? I'm going to copy it and put it in the comment section there. So if anyone wants to come on, they can. Doesn't look like I've copied that properly there. There we go. Where are we? All right, so the link is there if you want to come on the show itself to be here with me. But all good if you just want to watch and comment, that's fine as well. Let's get into it first, guys. The big news, of course, dropped just after our last show. Of course, Jermell Charlo, Tim Tszyu has been postponed. We have no definitive time or date or obviously venue or anything to hand at the moment, but gathering on the injury to Jermell Charlo, I think it's going to be a long time or quite some time before we get any news whatsoever. If you don't know, if you're watching this show, I'm sure you'll know. You're boxing fans and Aussie boxing fans. Jermell Charlo with the broken hand. I'm not exactly sure whether it was bones in the hand or some in his knuckles or fingers or thumbs, whatever it might be. But apparently it was pretty bad break. Now, these sorts of injuries, the way this will work is you'll probably have 8 weeks pure with the cast on. Cast, I will say, not the cast. The cast will be on for 2 months. Then he'll go into probably 2 months worth of rehab, and then it could be another 2 to 3 months of training. So I think it could be 6, if not 7 months before we see this fight again, which is just devastating news for Tim Tszyu. I mean, just put yourself in his position. He's gone to the other side of the world, to the States. He's based himself there. I think it was a month or so before this happened. And and it's not just the I suppose mentally difficult to deal with, as far as you're geeing yourself up physically, of course, getting yourself in condition. You've got to change your whole mindset and training schedule to deal with this, but also financially. I mean, he's moved his team over there. Thankfully, it's not a massive team over there at the moment, but I think there was maybe 4 or 5 of them in LA and now in Vegas. So it's a lot of cost when you got your personal chef and, of course, trainers, and you got accommodation and food and everything else that goes with it. Probably renting the gym. I know he was at Ten Goose, so a lot of money involved. Now these guys make millions of dollars, so I'm sure they can obviously handle it. But yeah, it's just a massive inconvenience. Carl, Jamal's scared. Look, I wouldn't go that far, mate. I don't think he's scared. These types of guys at that level don't get scared, mate. Maybe the teams or managers or whatever get a bit spooked, but Jamal Charlo wouldn't be sort of fearing Tim at all. But I'm sure he'd be pissed off as well. But the Charlos don't fight very often, do they? Was it the brother Jamal Charlo? Has it been 18 months or something or longer since he's been in the ring? I can't believe that the WBC haven't actually stripped him, but there seems to be different rules for these types of guys. Jamal Charlo, he did fight. I think it was about 9 months ago. I think it was. In the unification fight with Castana. So look, I don't think it's going to worry him. But look, it's just a massive inconvenience, and more so for us people who actually bought tickets and flights and accommodations. Think of us poor buggers as well. So Andy says, this is terrible news. Did Jamal show proof at all to the WBO? Yeah, I did see that he did show some evidence there, mate. I think he did. From what I read just the other day, he might have given the WBO X-rays. He did have the doctor's report, which could have been written by anyone. Well, the doctor could have just, there you go, we'll write it. But I'm pretty sure he did actually submit X-rays from what I read probably about 3 or 4 days ago. So, look, I don't think there's any untoward. I know there's been all things all over social media about why he's postponed the fight or pulled out of the fight, whatever you want to call it. But look, as I said, guys like Charlo of their stature don't get scared of anyone. He's not running. It's just an inconvenience. It's an unfortunate accident. It's just happened, and I'm sure that when it happens in another 6 months' time, he's going to be raring to go. A couple of comments there. Andy, well, I did see there. Hopefully he's a fast healer. Well, I'm not holding my breath, to be honest, Carl, that he's going to heal that quickly. And as I said, when I said 6 months, it could even be 7, 8, or 9 months. These guys, as I said, don't fight that often. I don't think there'll be any rush to give Tim his shot. If this was Tim, he'd be looking to get back straight away and raring to go. But I just think Charlo, he's in no rush. He's the champion. Seems to be different rules for him. And his brother and a few others out there as well, as far as with the sanctioning bodies. So I don't think there'll be any rush at all. There has been talk, of course, I'm sure you guys have all seen this as well, that Tim will fight in March. I have been told that will be in Australia, which probably makes sense. And they're trying to get it for the WBO interim title. So what they're trying to do is, because Tim's ranked number 1 with the WBO, he's ranked number 1 with the WBC as well. But the WBO are the ones that officially got the push going for Tim to fight Charlo. There's a push to get him a fight with the Russian, and I've got his name here. I've got the rankings up. Where is it? I can't pronounce his name. Is it Bakram Murtaleziov, I think you pronounce it, or Tony Harrison, which is a lot easier to pronounce. Probably prefer that one. So there's a push by No Limit and the rest of Tim's team to actually get this fight in March for the interim WBO title, and the winner would then fight Charlo when he's ready to go, because there's no way Tim's going to sit on his hands. We all knew that. So he'll be back in March. Now, there is news also I did hear through good sources, and I think I read it as well, that Nikita will be on the undercard. I do know who the opponent will be if it is the case. I won't say anything now because I don't want to upset my sources, but great news for all those involved. So let's see what happens there. But that is the news now. Tim will fight in Australia in March with Nikita Tszyu on the undercard. Carl, what are you pissed off about, mate? I'm pissed that Virgil Ortiz Emmanuel Stenner is off too. Yeah, I did see that, Carl. I must admit I didn't read too much into that. So if you've got some news, let me know. Yeah, I did see the fight was off, but I didn't, as I said, I didn't read too much into it, so I'm not quite sure there. This is probably the big one. Bud Crawford must well fight welterweight Mando Virgil Ortiz. Yep, given up on Undisputed. Yeah, look, Andy, I've got to admit, to be honest, probably getting off subject here, that I'm losing faith that Crawford and Spence will happen. What are they both, 34, 35, 36, whatever it is. I think it could be 12 months away. I'm just not seeing. And if they do, these guys could be pushing 40 by the time they fight. I've just got a feeling, and again we're getting off track here to this one. I've just got a feeling that we know that Spencer's next fight is going to be against Thurman sometime in April. That I've got a feeling, I've seen it and I agree that if he goes to super welterweight or junior middleweight, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure he comes back to welterweight. It's a big thing to go up in weight. Fight there and then have to strip it back. He always struggles to make 147 anyway. We're talking, what's that, 7 pound, which is what, about 3 and a bit kilos. Doesn't probably seem a lot to the average Joe Blow out there, but Spence probably walks around, what's he fight at 147? He probably walks around at 175, if not 180. And to get down to 147, it'd be tough. If he gets to 154, he'll probably do the weight pretty easily. He'll feel good, he'll feel strong. Does he want to really risk that to go back, especially if the Crawford fight's not going to happen or doesn't look like happening? I think the only fight that could get him back would be Crawford. And even then, I think they're almost sick of each other with all the going back and forwards at the moment. I think they're almost both resigned to the fact that they're just going to have to move on. And as a fan, I don't want to see that. But this is a weird sport, a weird industry. And as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them have just decided to move on. Tim versus Sebastian Fundora should happen. Carl, look, if it was for a belt, I think it could definitely happen. If the WBC said we want an interim champion in the, I think actually Fundora is he the interim champion? I think he is. If that was going to maybe fight for the full belt, and the winner would have to fight Charlo, could be a possibility. But look, I don't think they should strip Charlo at all. It's an injury. It's not like he's chosen to be out of the sport. So I don't agree with stripping him. But if it was the case and the WBC said we want these guys to fight for the full belt and the winner to fight Charlo, then that would happen. But there's no way in hell I would think that fight happens unless there's a proper belt on the line. And looking at the ratings at the moment, Fundora is not, well, he's an interim champion, so he's not ranked with any of the other sanctioning bodies, so it couldn't be for the WBO or whatever. So, and it's a very, very risky fight for Tim. Why would you want to fight this guy for? I've seen this guy in person. He's probably 6'6", 6'7". He's a big guy. There's nothing of him, but geez, you wouldn't want to be in there trying to get close to him. Geez. What do you got there, Andy? Welterweight Mando Spence versus Thurman at 154 is also ridiculous. Yeah, good point. Again, I'll get back to this fight in a second, but yeah, if you don't know, the WBC have sanctioned Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman in April. Or not sanctioned. Well, they have sanctioned it for the WBC as a WBC defence at welterweight, even though the fight is going to take place at 154, which is super welterweight. So if you can make sense of that, they're saying this is a mandatory defence, even though it's one division above the actual belt that they're supposed to be fighting for. It is absolutely ridiculous. This only could happen if it was WBC, I will say. Who knows what's going to happen next with those guys, the WBC. It's ridiculous. For the most respected, I think the most respected sanctioning body out there, they do some ridiculous things. But, I mean, how can you sanction a fight for a title that's... And the thing is, if Thurman happens to beat Spence, well, he doesn't win the belt because it's not at welterweight, even though it's officially sanctioned as a mandatory defence. So I don't know. I give up trying to even make sense of it. One more thing before we get back to this one, guys. Back to subject. Oh, there you go. We're already on subject. I think it's a huge risk for Tim versus Fundora instead of Mando shot. Yeah. And that's, I've got to say, Andy, I'm really surprised. Well, not surprised if it's going to be for a full belt, but surprised that guys like Tony Harrison and the Russian Murtazilov, or whatever his name is, are being thrown up in the mix. These are quality fighters. You've got to remember, Tony Harrison is the only person to ever beat Jermell Charlo, former champion, of course. It's a very, very risky fight. I don't even know why people are throwing it out there that Tim should fight these guys. If it's not for a regular belt, for the WBO belt or whatever other belt it might be, I don't think if it's for an official world title belt of some description, then Tim should fight to someone in the top 15 to 20, just to keep busy fight. I don't think we can begrudge Tim at all. Now, I know there's always the keyboard warriors out there, as we call them, that will come for Tim. You're fighting these, these Apaches, whatever you want to call them. End of the day, it would be ludicrous and a bad business decision by Tim's team to take on anyone that resembles really a top sort of 5 to 10 contender. Why would you? He's got the fight with Charlo. It's for the undisputed championship of the world. It's simply been postponed. It hasn't been cancelled. So why would you risk fighting one of those guys in the top 5 or 10 when you simply don't have to? Again, if there's a world title at stake, if they vacate, one of the sanctioning bodies vacate Charlo and say to Tim and Harrison, or whoever it might be, you guys must fight for the belt, no problem. Hang on, we've got Carl actually coming on board now. Good to have him on. Maybe he can shed some light. Hang on, I'll get him on here. Where are we? I've got you there, mate. Hang on a sec. I'm going to bring you on. I haven't actually got a slide for you. There he is. Carl, away, mate.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Good. Sorry, I didn't actually have a slide ready to go for this with the episode, but I've got you on there. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Nah, nothing, mate. Just wanted to chop up boxing and
Yep. Looking
forward to Liam Wonderboy Wilson.
Yep, we're going to discuss that later on. So what do you think of that, mate? Is he we'll go over it a bit later on. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think he's got a chance? It's a tough fight.
Oh, mate, I don't think so, mate. I think he's bitten off more than he can chew. But shout out to another Aussie just getting in there and just bloody fighting, mate. None of this bullshit.
Yeah.
Signed the deal on short notice and got in there and did it, mate. Valdez didn't want the smoke, so I hope he gives him hell, mate. I really do.
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. I'll get on to him now. What is he? So Liam Wilson's only 11-1, so he's only had 12 in fights. Navarrete is 36-1, and his only loss, I think, was early in his career, like in his 5th or 6th fight he's made. So he's a former 2-time world champion. Super bantamweight, he made 4 defences. At featherweight, he made 3 defences, and this is for his 3rd title. So, I mean, I'm with you, mate. You've got to admire Liam Wilson. And look, Aussies have shown they can do it, let's face it, time and time again over history.
Yep.
But, geez, it's a tough ask, isn't it?
It's a massive ask, mate. It's massive. But yeah, I wish him all the best, mate. And hopefully he goes in there and shows a bit of that Aussie fighting spirit,
Nah, he will. What is it? I think it's February 3rd. I've got the graphic in a sec.
Is it 3rd or the 2nd? Sorry, mate, I've got a fucking itchy nose.
That's all right. Up in the Queensland heat there, are you?
Oh, mate, it's been bucketing down rain for the last 5 days. So
what's the temperature
it's been pretty good. Oh, mate, before the rain, it would have been about 38.
Before, and then now what?
Now it's nice and cool because it's been bucketing down rain for 5 days and flooding everywhere.
Well, welcome. I'll tell you a little about Victorian weather. Yesterday it was 38 degrees down here. Today it's about 18. So that's how quick it literally in Victoria. It's
mate, that's what I love about the joint.
You could have your heater on one day and the air conditioner on the next. It's ridiculous. So
yeah, mate. Yeah.
What else is going on, mate? So we've got, again, we'll go through these as we go. So we've got Sky Nicholson's fighting February 24th in New York. We've got Dempsey McKean, maybe against Joshua in April.
Isn't her star rising?
Yeah.
She's going great guns. Good on her.
Yep. What did you think? And we're going to talk a little bit about it later. Tell me your thoughts on the, I know it's old news now, the Bridges-O'Connell fight. Did you watch it? And
yeah, I did, mate. I did. I thought Shannon I thought she blew a load too quick.
Okay.
I thought she got in there and, yeah, no pun intended, but yeah, I think that she got caught in the heat of the moment, mate, because, yeah, I thought she was a classier boxer.
Yeah, look, I have it on my agenda to talk about tonight. If any of you guys are on social media out there, check it out, because Glenn Jennings put a post up today on Shannon's page, but she's just gone in for a shoulder operation today, and I know we touched on it on the show just before Christmas, but now that we're talking about it, I can spill a little bit more of the beans. I've spoken to Shannon a couple of times since the fight, and she told me, she said, look, of course everyone's saying, why didn't you use your jab and just use your jab and you shouldn't. She told me she literally couldn't move her left shoulder at all. She was just sort of trying to get through training as best she could. and literally went in there and couldn't move. Now, look, again, everyone knows I'm pretty close to Shannon, but I'm not trying to make excuses for her. But I think people have to know. They have to know the whole story. Now, I'm sure every athlete or fighter goes in there with something, but all I'm saying with Shannon is she literally couldn't use her shoulder, and unfortunately, it looks like her career might be over.
Oh, you're joking.
Yep. Not 100%, but
shout out to her, mate. Hey, she had a go, mate. She had a go. She had a red hot crack.
Yeah. Well, her shoulder's literally bone on bone on the moment. There's no cartilage in it at the moment, and so it must be bloody tough for her. And I've spoken to her. Look, I think more than anything, I don't want to sort of talk out of school too much, but I think more than anything, obviously she's got to get her head around the fact her career may be over with the shoulder and everything, but more so. And I don't blame her. She was absolutely devastated by not necessarily just the result of the fight. I think any fighter can accept that you get beat. That's at that, especially at that level, you get beat. I think, and again, I don't want to say too much, but I think the backlash and the hate and the vitriol that come away from a lot of people, especially a lot of people in Australia that had previously embraced her, I think it cut pretty deep. And it's never happened to me, so I don't know. But people out there can be bloody disgusting sometimes.
Yeah, mate, trolls are trolls, and it's hard to block them out. But you just got to remember, mate, that the internet's not real world. It's not the real fucking world.
Yeah.
I say that a million times, mate. I get trolled everywhere I go because I speak my mind, and when someone's, so as the Americans call it, dick riding, mate, I've got to pull them up. And you can ask Andy. Andy's seen me in fine form on a few American and British channels. But mate, I just think good on her. She's had a good career. She's a mother.
Yep.
She deserves all the credit, that woman, mate, because she's a tough as a battle axe, mate. And
yeah. Well,
she went out on a
this
shield
week too, so probably it's good that this is all come out this week. We are going to have her on the show, by the way, when she's up to it.
That'd be cool.
We'll have a chat to her because look, I know she wouldn't want it out there because she's not the type that makes excuses. But sometimes there's a difference between excuses and actual reasons. She hasn't come out and said I lost because of this. She's not saying that. She's just saying, look, before everyone tries to paint me as such and such a person, just be aware that she's a single mother, 3 kids. The shoulder, I've known her for nearly 10 years, and been to a lot of her fights, promoted her, of course, as well. And she's been through a hell of a lot. And I just social media, mate, it's just not a good place sometimes.
Yeah, breaks your heart, doesn't it, mate?
It does. And what else is going on, mate? What about some on the world scene,
mate? Dempsey, McKean, and AJ.
Yep. What do you reckon? Will it happen?
Hey, I reckon I'm using my Nostradamus head here. I reckon if it happens, I bet you London to a brick Liam Paro will be on that undercard.
Yeah, you'd think so. Well, look, I know there was talk. I know Eddie Hearn said, we'd love to do it at the Gabba and all, but that's great in theory. But Joshua's probably going to want $50 to $60 million to come here and fight. And we just can't generate that type of money. So
yeah, but mate, I think it's more the fact that he wants to get a win.
Yeah,
I think he wants a win under his belt because he's copped an absolute hammering, mate, and he's copping a lot of backlash saying he's got no footwork and he's this, that, and the other. Mate, I think he's a great fighter. Just because he's taken, and he's just been beaten by better boxers, mate. At the end of the day, you can't take anything away from the guy. He's still good. He's just not great, But
and you're right.
I'm really
and
sorry,
you're right.
Mate.
He does need a win, and that's probably obviously what they're looking at Dempsey McKean as. That Dempsey's probably marketable as well, and being the Aussie and everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, I think it's got to be in England to give AJ as much advantage that he possibly can be. They do it in England, get the 90,000 or 60,000, whatever it is going to be there to support him, get him well paid. It just probably makes sense to do it over there. I mean, they're obviously, from what I've been reading online, no one even knows Dempsey, let alone gives him a chance. But I don't know. Do you think he has an opportunity to beat him or not?
I don't think so, mate. I don't think he's quick enough. I think he's a big, rangy fighter. I just think he's a bit slow, and I think he's tailor-made for AJ.
Yeah. Look, end of the day, I do tend to agree. Look, you've got to be in it to win it, as we've discussed with a lot of the Aussie fighters. But, yeah, look, I don't think they'd be picking Dempsey McKean with a view at all that he's got a chance to win it. And I must admit, judging from his last fight, I know the guy was awkward and didn't really come to fight. Judging by that, I wasn't overly enthused by Dempsey's chances. But look, as they say, styles make fights, and who knows?
100%.
Southpaw style. Maybe he doesn't have to be a big puncher. Usyk's not a big puncher. You know, maybe if he tries to emulate a little bit of what Usyk, how he went about it, you just never know.
Yep.
So,
I just want to see Liam get a fight, mate. I want to see Liam.
Oh, Liam
I want to see him
Paro.
get another fight.
Yeah,
mate. Geez, I tell you what, I was impressed. I was all on this Brock Jarvis hype train, eh? I was on the train, mate, and I was on it when it derailed too.
Didn't derail. I mean, it did about 3 backflips when it derailed, didn't it? But look, I'm with you, mate. I've always been a massive rat for Brock. I've promoted him a couple of times, and he's a great young kid. And I actually tipped Liam Paro to win the fight, but I thought he might win on points. I thought he might just be a bit slick for Brock with the way he fights, but I never expected a first round knockout, I can tell you. But just with Liam, the interesting thing with Liam, I've just got his ratings up here. So he's ranked number 2 with the WBO, 5 with the the IBF. He's not ranked at all by the WBC or WBA. It's strange how the sanctioning bodies work.
The WBC's whoever's kicking in the most loot, mate.
Yeah.
That's how they work.
And the
And
WBA,
I'll tell you something funny too, mate. Did you catch the PBC card with Tank, Boots, Boo Boo, and the
I didn't
show
watch it
piece?
live, mate. I wasn't going to pay for the pay-per-view. I just watched it on YouTube the next day.
Yeah, you didn't miss much, mate.
Yeah, look.
The thing that got me was with Boots' fight, mate, was the guy that he fought, the Karen. I can't even pronounce his last name, but the Ukrainian guy Karen, he wasn't even ranked in the top 15, mate, until they named that fight, and then they put him at 12.
Yep.
And it's weird how you can jump in rankings without even having a fight, just with putting pen to paper, mate.
Mate, it's my biggest pet peeve is that the sanctioning bodies just gets manipulated to suit the fight. That's ridiculous. I'm with you. I just don't get it. Oh, you're not ranked? Oh, that's okay. We'll rank you. That's all good. You know, and when these guys, like, I always wondered, I think I said this on the show before Christmas, I've always wondered why boxers and their teams go to the conventions, you know, WBA, WBC, whatever, all over, and they fly there to go to the conventions. I know exactly why now. They go there to state the case, to wine and dine and shake hands and sweet talk these guys into giving them better rankings or pushing for a title shot. It's amazing. So it's more of a networking thing these days than more now than ever.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, also on the talk, I was on a panel with Nonito Donaire, and I was talking to him and his wife actually, and I actually said to him, I said, mate, don't duck Jason Maloney. Don't duck Jason Maloney.
And what did he say?
And because they had a bit of, I think they were at the WBC.
Yeah, they were.
Was it WBC or
WBC? Yeah.
Yeah, they were at the wine and dine, and they spoken before the first night and said, you know, we'll go for number 1, you go for number 2, and anyway vacates. And then as soon as they did that, Maloney petitioned for champion.
Yep. Oh, did
so
he?
He wanted to be the. Yeah, they petitioned to be champion. So just to get the belt handed, where they were going to go 1 and 2, so they could have a fight. So there was a bit of bad blood there apparently, but I troll the shit out of him. I go on panels and say, mate, don't duck Jason Maloney, whatever you do. I just want to see the fight, mate. But I just
Oh,
He's a good guy too, at Nonito. He's a really nice guy.
Well, you know, we've said on this show a few times that when I took the boys to the States in 2017, they were sparring together in Vegas, and they were great mates there. And and he was real. I remember, again, I've said this a few times. I remember Nonito giving Jason tips, because I think Jason had only been a pro for a couple of years. I think 2.5 years, whatever. And Nonito Donaire might have been a world champion at the time or whatever, and he giving Jason tips, but he also loved Jason's jab, so he wanted to racked Jason's mind about how to get his jab improved. It was amazing to watch them talk for sort of 45 minutes.
Bounce off. Yeah, right.
And here we are, 6 years later, and they're going to fight. Looks like they're going to fight for the vacant world title. It's amazing how.
Oh well, I don't know, mate. I think he wants to try and get Chocolatito or Estrada.
Well, that's for Andrew Maloney, though, isn't it? Chocolatito.
No, Jason.
Oh, Jason
Maloney. No. I'm talking about Nonito.
Oh, Nonito. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Nonito wants Estrada or Chocolatito.
Yeah, well, it's hang on, we got there. And what show are we talking about here, guys? I was listening in on that and can vouch for Carl. What show was that?
Oh, it's a guy called Rapstar.
Rapstar.
And he's a Rapstar with a W. And he gets some fanboys on there, and I just have to give him a piece of my mind. I've got a couple of clips on my channel, mate, from his a couple of panels I've jumped on, and mate, guys just get in there and just talk absolute bullshit. Like Jerron Ennis, they're saying is the next Roy Jones. Well, I tell you now, Roy Jones at 25, mate, stop James Toney.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what I've seen of Ennis, look, he's okay, but he hasn't fought anyone yet. Let's wait until he fights one of the champions. How can you be?
And this is it. That's my argument, mate. Well, who's he fought? Sergey Lipinets?
Welcome to show there, mate. Welcome on Stephen as well. How are you, Stephen Bateman? Andy again. What do you say? Nonito? Oh, Rapstar. Okay, Rapstar.
Yeah.
He's a boxing site.
Yeah. It's just another YouTube channel, mate, in the YTBC, the YouTube boxing community. It's huge, Lyndon. If you haven't dipped your toes in the pool, mate.
Right, I'll check it out. So I've got about 500 followers. Am I in the ballpark?
Yep.
Bit of way to go.
Nah, you got good Aussie content, mate. It's good to talk about Aussie boxers, mate.
We go for quality over quantity, but we'll grow.
Bloody oath.
But all good. What else have we got? What about on the world scene? What do you make of Davis and Garcia? What about Eubank Smith, Haney Lomachenko?
Yeah, well, I want to see Haney Lomachenko, mate. Good on Devon for signing the deal and taking the Loma fight because, mate, Loma's got the best resume at 135 out of any fighter at 135. Loma's resume sort of shits all over anyone else's. Yeah. Has Loma still got it? That's probably the big question. He's got a lot of miles on his clock, you know. So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's still got the ticker, mate. But I hope the Matrix downloads the information real quick and makes a good fight of it.
Yeah, no, I think he will. All good, mate. Well, thanks for jumping on. Make sure you keep watching the show there, and we might get a couple other guys on at some stage as well if you want to come. You can see Carl's done it. It's not that hard. We just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So I know.
Mate, I'll jump on any panel. Thanks for having me, Lyndon.
No worries, mate. And keep watching. We'll hopefully see you on again next week. Talk to you soon, bud. See you, mate. All right, that is Carl. Thanks for coming on, mate. Just getting back to this fight, as I said, I can't even remember where we finished up, so maybe we move past this one. Yes, like and subscribe, all those things. So we're over 500 people now and climbing. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 pretty soon. But we should have a lot more content coming on again soon too, guys. It's just this time of year, everyone's got stuff on. We'll get our dream fights and classic fights and that going again, and some other specials as well. Let's move on to the next point of call. We just spoke about this, of course, Emmanuel Navarrete and Liam Wilson, February 3 in Glendale, Arizona. Now, got to take my hat off to Liam Wilson, guys. He's stepping up. This is not just anyone. Thanks, Carl. Great for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. Liam Wilson, look, for 12 fights, I think he only lost a couple of fights ago, so a massive, massive ask for him. But hey, look, when opportunity comes, you've got to take it. And look, I think You're always a chance. Based on experience and quality of opposition, you have to say that Liam hasn't really got much chance at all. But look, guys, look, he's gone over to the States. Maybe that'll take a little bit of the pressure off that he's in, out of his comfort zone here in Australia. And look, you just don't know. And look, I can't wait for the fight. I'm assuming it's going to be on main event, I think, although it's only a couple of weeks away. Is that what's today, the 18th? So yeah, it's only just over 2 weeks away. So I'm not sure if it's on main event or it's just going to be on, does it say there on the top rank ESPN? So it'll probably be on main event, I would think. Yes, Carl, we Aussies have balls of steel. I like it. So we'll get on to it. So, yep, that's it for that one. Everyone's got some comments on that. So Liam Wilson, they're ready. Has Liam Wilson got a chance? Let us know, guys. I'm not sure that he does. I'll be hoping that he does, obviously, for sure. But it's a tough gig. As I said earlier, Navarrete's only lost once. It was in his 5th or 6th fight. He's now 36-1. He's been in 9 world title fights. Won them all, and 7 successful defences of his title over 2 divisions. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but geez, what a win that would be. Be up there. I'm not sure it'd be up there, of course, with Kambosos over Lopez, or Harding over Andrews, or Horn over Pacquiao. These types of things, but either way. Carl, yes, we're going to get to that in a minute, mate. Eubank, Liam Smith. I'll get to that in a sec. We'll get through the Aussie news first, guys, and we'll go back to the world stuff. We did mention again before, Sky Nicholson's back in action February 4th at Madison Square Garden. She's 5-0. She's up against Tanya Alvarez, who's 7-0. Quality of opposition is not great, I will say, but she's still 7-0. New York, Madison Square Garden, as I said, February the 4th, and so what's that, only a couple of weeks away. Good on Sky Nicholson. I think this is her 2nd fight at the Garden. She's had fights obviously in Australia and England and everything else, so I think she's fought in those 5 fights. It might have been 4 different countries, which is just amazing, or 3 different countries, which is just amazing. So yeah, should be a great fight. Good on Sky for chasing her dreams over in the States, and with what's his name? Eddie Hearn. Has been a few things going on over the Christmas period with Eddie Hearn in the news regarding Sky Nicholson, but we won't go into that one. It's not our business. So come on, Sky, says Carl. Yep, another Queenslander. I'm sure she'll get the win there. I think they're still in the mode of building Sky up at the moment. And I would think, what is she, 5-0? I think they might get it to 8-0, 9-0, and they'll be pushing for a world title. I've got no doubt at all that they'll be pushing Sky. And I think she's good enough to win the title now, to be honest. But they'll probably want to give her another 3 or 4 fights just to make sure. But she's definitely a talent, and in my opinion, Australia's next female world champion. This is back to Liam Wilson and Navarrete. Navarrete is a beast, but good luck, Liam Wilson. Yep, well said, mate. And Sky, of course, she's got a few fans out there, does Sky. She's probably got the potential to be as popular as Ebony Bridges. She probably goes about it in a little bit different way. I think Ebony's, everyone loves her. She's a bit of a rebel and, loves to put herself out there. I think Sky is more the girl next door type of image that she's after, and it's working. And I think she'll have a lot of fans, especially in England as well, which is where they all are. Carl, I think Eddie, I love the Cameron Hearn. He's sweet on Sky. Well, that's the rumours that he's sweet on her, but we're not going to take it too much, mate, because he's married with kids, so we don't want to be spreading any rumours, even though it's all over social media, so we wouldn't be saying anything that's not already out there. On to the next one, guys. This is a card I'm actually looking forward to. Ace Boxing is back. Beck Hawker and I think it's pronounced Carice Brown for the WIBA World Featherweight title. It's February 25 on beIN Sports. So really good to have Ace Boxing back. I think they sort of go under the radar a little bit. Everyone talks about, obviously, No Limit, DNL, and now Matchroom, and even Tasman Fighters. Ace Boxing doing some really good things, just sort of on the next sort of level down. And this is a good one. Hawker and Brown, I think it's a really good, should be a really good card. I've got that actually up here at the moment. What date is it? February 25. What do we got there? So Jalen Tate's on the card. Rocky Ogden, good young prospect. I think that was sort of it for the others. But yeah, should be a really good one. So good on Ace Boxing doing really, really good things. One fight that won't be on the card, though. Hang on, what have we got there? Hang on, this is back to Sky, sorry. And apologies, guys, if I get to your comment a little bit afterwards, because there is sort of a 30 or 40 second delay. Shane says, why wouldn't you go with Zone when you look at Sky, Ebony, and now Spark Big Shows? This is the Zone, I'm thinking. Just clarify that, can you please, Shane? Is it DAZN? I'm probably thinking, yeah. Yep, yeah, no, they are big shows, mate. And, yeah, if I was, still in the game, looking to turn pro, I'd be looking at signing with Eddie Hearn as well. I think he's doing great stuff, even though our guys here in Australia are doing great things with No Limit as well. Paul, hi, Lyndon. Great to have you back. Thanks, mate. Any news on Tim's new opponent? Nothing confirmed yet, Paul. I'm sure it won't be too long, though. He's supposed to fight in about 7 or 8 weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised if within another week or two they've got someone for Tim. As I said before, Paul, I'd be staggered if they get a real world-class fighter if there's no world title belt at stake. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you risk it all when there's no world title belt? I would hope that he would get someone ranked between 15 and 20, even above. Just grab him someone that's tough and durable, that's maybe not a big puncher or anything like that, because he's obviously had the hands operated on. Someone you can get a few rounds in that's going to hang around, but really no danger to him. I think all Aussies and even fans around the world would forgive him if that was the case. Real boxing fans know the drill. Why would you risk possibly either hurting yourself or getting beat or cut or whatever it might be, and risking that fight? It just doesn't make sense. So, but I will break it as soon as we know, mate. We'll obviously discuss it on the show. Yep, DAZN says Shane. Thanks, mate. The Bobfather puts on great shows and for free. He does, Carl. I really like the Bobfather. He's over 90 years old now, I think, isn't he? So it's amazing that he's been around so long. I don't think he actually got into boxing until he was in his 40s. So unbelievable from Bob Arum, of course. Now, as I said, one fight that's not on the card. It is this one. Jasmine Parr and Viviana Ruiz. I was actually looking forward to this fight. It was supposed to be for the WIBA world title. Super flyweight, I think it might have been. I think I'm not wrong there. I think it's super fly. But yeah, that'll be a ripper fight, or would have been a ripper fight. I'm not sure the exact reason why it's been cancelled. I did see it on social media today from the trainer Ben Sava that the fight's been cancelled. I'm not sure it's been postponed or it's just cancelled. I put there it's been cancelled, but who knows? Sure Ace Boxing will release some news in the next few days letting us know what's happened. But that would have been a really good fight. To have two world title fights, I know it's not one of the major sanctioning bodies, but still they were the first actual female world body. So you've got to give them some credit. Even though the WBA, WBC, IBF and WBO have all stepped in now, the WIBA was the first belt. And as I said, even though it's probably not up there as far as the others go, still it's a springboard in some big fights. And considering that Jasmine Parr's only had 3 fights, I think it is, I had it there. 3-0. Ruiz is 6-1. So yeah, I'm not sure what'll happen there. I'm sure they'll rearrange it down the track, but like both those girls, Parr's shown a lot in her 3 fights so far, and Ruiz is I think she's Spanish. I think she is. She's had some fights in Spain and trained by Ben Sava, who's a good trainer here in Australia. So that should be a good fight if and when it does happen. What's your thoughts on Jazzy Parr? Yes, look, as I said, Carl, I think she's got a lot of ability. Look, she's so green though. I know she's got the Muay Thai background. Obviously, her dad's John Wayne Parr. Look. In this, the thing is, what you got to remember is with female boxing at the moment, the pool is the talent pool is still very, very shallow. Excuse me, it's a lot better than what it was 5-10 years ago. Each year it gets better and better and better. Obviously, more girls are coming into it, but at the moment, especially at that weight, it is very shallow. So she'll have opportunities, and she'll have plenty of time to cut her teeth on some other girls from around the world. This would have been a good fight for her. But as I said, mate, on the surface, I think she's got a lot of ability, but I'd like to see her where she's at after about 10 or 12 fights and the level stepped up. This is why I was looking forward to this fight, because Ruiz is a very seasoned female, and And as I said, she's got a good team behind her, and I think she would have really given Parr a good test and maybe even beaten her. They were very confident, I know that. So, yeah, probably the jury's out for me, mate. But on the surface, I think she looks like she's got all the ability in the world. But, you know, as I said, she's had no amateur background, just the Muay Thai fight, so pretty hard to judge just at the moment. Rocky Ogden's bag work has been impressive, genuine power. That's great, Shane. But as we know, bags don't hit back. I've seen plenty of people look great on pads. But I'll reserve judgment till I see him in a good fight. He's got a lot of ability, I will say. The fights that I've seen him have so far looks the goods. But again, like a lot of these guys, you've got to, you know, they put themselves out there a little bit, and they have all their social media accounts and all the followings and all the rest of it, and people get onto them. We tend to get a little bit excited here in Australia. I tend to reserve judgment until I've seen them, you know, in a few sort of 8 to 10 round fights and just judge them by them. But, mate, I'm with you. Looks the goods, but let's just see how he looks when he's in against a quality opponent. Andy, hey, we got another Aussie at Cruiser Mando for Oakley. Now, I've got the ratings up here. Let's have a look. Cruiserweight. David Light. Now he's a Kiwi, I think, mate. We'll claim him, but I think he's a Kiwi. David Light. Just trying to think anyone else in the top. No one in there at the moment. But that's who I'm assuming you're thinking of there, Andy. Is David Light. But if that is, then sorry, he's from across the ditch. Carl, any word on Harry Garsey's next opponent? I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't fight till mid-year, Carl. I don't think they've got anyone for him at the moment. I did see something the other day. I'll take that back that he might be fighting in the next couple of months. I haven't got an opponent for him yet, mate. I know his hands have been giving him all sorts of trouble, which is not good with a guy that's only had a few fights under his belt at this level. But I don't know. I think they'll still give him a couple of Aussies, I think, in the next 2 or 3 fights, and then look to step him up after that. But again, this kid's got all the ability in the world, and the only thing I don't like is his lack of power. But as we've seen with a lot of fighters out there, they can get away with it just by boxing skill, and this guy's got all the boxing skill in the world. Shane, Parr, yes, Green, but when she gets pressured, she listens. Yes, Parr, yes, Green, but when she gets pressured. Yeah, well, that's a sign of a good fighter, Shane, because most a lot of fighters that aren't at that level are the ones that don't listen to the trainers, and that's why you get them to, Anzac. Yeah, Anzac, you're right there, mate. We'll claim him. He's Anzac. But yeah, Shane, yeah, look, she does listen. She's got all the ability, but again, as I said, we just can't judge these guys and girls until we see them in good quality fights, and this fight would have been a real good judge for it. Now, I must admit, when I first saw it announced, I thought that Ruiz might be a bit strong for her, to be honest, but they obviously have no dramas facing Ruiz, but we'll see. Hopefully it gets rescheduled. Excuse me. Let's get on to a couple of more bits of Aussie news there. The Maloney boys. I'll just take that down there, Shane. Now these guys, the Maloney boys, we both saw them in October. They look very, very impressive, both boys. Team Maloney in box seats for world titles in 2023. Now Andrew is WBC number 1. And WBA number 5, IBF number 5, and WBO number 2. So he's ranked in all 4 organisations in the top 5. Jason is 1 with the WBC, 1 with the WBO, 3 with the IBF, and very, very strangely, he's not ranked in the WBA at all, which I think is absolutely ludicrous, especially considering the fact that Jason and Andrew, right through their career, have been massive supporters of the WBA. They've both had multiple Oceania titles, so I'm not sure what's happened there. I know they've always been really tight with the WBA, and that's the only organisation that Jason's not ranked with. I'll just double check that, but as of the latest rankings, that is not in the top 15 of the WBA, which again is very, very surprising. Doesn't probably really matter. WBC number 1, WBO number 1, and as I said, IBF number 3. So he's got multiple avenues there. Now looking at it, we spoke before, obviously with Carl, Nonito Donaire, Jason Maloney, I think is the fight that will happen for one of Inoue's vacant belts. He is number 1 with the WBO, Jason Emmanuel Rodriguez. You'll remember him. He beat Jason for the IBF belt back in 2018. He's ranked number 2. Could we see a rematch between those two? I don't really think so. I think Jason's got his heart set on Donaire. He wants that fight. I know he'd like to fight Rodriguez in a rematch, but I just think Donaire, I mean, he's a legend of the sport. I think knowing Jason, he wants that fight. He wants that WBC belt. You can see there he's got some version of an interim belt or regional belt. Looks like it's a silver champion there, actually. He wants the real belt, Jason. The WBC is still not the number 1 belt out there, regardless of all their shenanigans. They still are the number 1 belt, in my opinion. And he wants that belt. But more importantly, he wants Donaire. So that's the one I would probably see happening. But if it didn't, then it could be Rodriguez for the WBO belt for Andrew. And another exciting one is Andrew. He's ranked, what I say he was, WBC 1, WBO 2, and WBA and IBF number 5. So the good thing about it is he's in line to fight Francisco Estrada. Now, how good a fight would that be? Now, I know, excuse me, we've had Franco's WBA, we've got Fernando Martinez at IBF champion, Ioka as the WBO champion. Of course, Franco and Ioka just fought a draw to unify the belts, so they'll probably do it again, so it probably takes them out of the equation. How good would it be to see Estrada versus Maloney for the WBC belt? I think that would be awesome. And who knows? It could be around the same time. It could be J. Maloney Donaire, A. Maloney Estrada. Holy shit. Could it get any better for Australian boxing at the moment, what's going on out there? That would be amazing. So a massive year for these two guys. And, again, I've been there from the start with these two guys right through to a couple of years ago when they went with Top Rank. To see where they've come from and to see them on the stage now where they both could be fighting in these massive fights, presumably overseas. I have heard that they were going to maybe try and bring those fights to Australia on a big card. I'm not sure whether Australians would embrace it, I know it's ridiculous. I'm sure Aussie fight fans would embrace it. But to go to a big arena or stadium, probably not a stadium, but an arena in Australia and pack it out, I'm just not sure whether Australians would get behind it and get sort of 10 to 15,000. I might be wrong, but I think it would make sense for me from the fight them in America. But we'll see. Oh, Carl, you put me on the spot here, mate. Who's better are the Maloney boys? All right, well, I wouldn't normally answer this question because obviously it's unfair, and I know the boys really well. What I will say is they're both in better areas. Now, I'll be careful the way I describe this so I don't upset either one of them. They're both better than the other one in different circumstances. So what I will say, to me, Andrew is the more explosive fighter between the two. Jason hits like a sledgehammer, but I think Andrew's a lot faster, is a lot more explosive, throws a lot more punches. So that probably, if that makes sense, probably makes him better in that department. Where Jason, on the other hand, is very meticulous. He'll just weed down. He reminds me a lot of a Mexican fighter. Doesn't change gears. He changes gears, but he doesn't jump around the gears. He'll go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. There's no turning back, and that's what the Mexican fighters do. If you watch them, they start in first gear, and as the rounds go on, they go into second and into third and fourth. They don't jump from fourth back to first or second. It's a sort of slope that goes like this as the fight goes on. And he does jump around the gears a little bit more, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just makes them different fighters. So I'm not going to say either one is better than the other one as a whole, but I will say that Jason is definitely better in certain areas than Andrew, and Andrew is definitely better in certain areas than Jason. But overall, both are just such great fighters. I'm so happy for them that they're in the position they are now. It's been great for them. We've been with Top Rank. They're now elite world-class fighters, known all over the world by fight fans. So hopefully they can tick those boxes where they both become fully fledged world champions by the end of the year. So thanks for putting me on the spot there, Carl. What do we got there? That's Jason's chance to put all-time great Donaire in resume. Yep. I fight this year. My money's on Jason without a doubt. I think Jason, it's his destiny to win this belt. I have no doubt. I think Donaire is obviously well past his best. And I think Jason wins that fight and takes that belt. I really do. Andrew would be a lot tougher for him fighting Estrada. But again, I know it's easy to say, well, he couldn't beat Franco. second fight aside, we can't sort of judge that because it went 2 rounds. The other 2 fights, yes, he couldn't beat Franco. Again, styles make fights, and Franco just had that style with Andrew that he upset his rhythm. He had really good timing with his jab. They had a really good game plan. As I said, Andrew has this in and out and explosive sort of thing, style of fighting, whereas Franco had the game plan to really upset that type of rhythm, keep him on the back foot a little bit, keep him off, not being able to set by keeping that jab in his face. I thought he fought a really good fight. And I'm not sure Estrada has that same sort of style. I think Estrada's a better overall fighter than Franco, but that doesn't mean much in the scheme of things when you're at that level. And I think Andrew is a massive chance in that one as well. I would have loved to have seen Andrew fight Chocolatito, I will say. But, good on Estrada. I actually thought Chocolatito might have got the third Estrada fight, but no issues with Estrada getting it. It was a close fight. But, geez, how big would that one be? With Inoue moving up, what's your thoughts on him fighting Steve Fulton? I think he smashes Steve Fulton. Actually, I did see that Fulton might be moving up to avoid that fight. I think that's the case, Carl. I did see that Inoue has, as the undisputed champion, I think they must have, if they move up in weight, they get automatic mandatory for the belts if they move up. I'm assuming that's the case, or maybe with some of the sanctioning bodies, not with others. But I think he has enacted that now. He is, where are we? So he's, where are we? What weight are we at there? That's flyweight. What weight are we looking at there? Oh, well, I'm looking at the wrong division. Sorry. So yeah, WBO. So the WBO, I think, have a clause that if the undisputed champion or champion moves up, they get an automated mandatory rankings by the WBO. I did hear that Steve Fulton was going to go up probably to avoid that fight, to fight himself with, although Navarrette's the champion there, so that wouldn't be with him. I can't remember who they said he might be going, but he's going to move up anyway, is what I saw. I won't spend too much time on that. So to answer your question, I think if they did fight, Inoue smashes Fulton. He's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, Fulton. Inoue is just too good for anyone. The only thing that I would give Fulton a chance, he would be a much bigger man than Inoue. Inoue's going up in, what's his third or fourth division, whatever it is. Fulton's a big, strong super bantamweight. So, that's the only reason I would maybe give Fulton a chance. But as you go up in weights, like in horse racing, the more weight they put on you, that slows you down, brings you back to the field a little bit. So who knows? And yes, go the Maloney boys. I might get them on the show, I reckon, soon, guys. Once some more things are announced, we might get them on a special guest on the show, and we can talk about what's happening with the boys. So a massive year for them. Last thing on the Aussie news, we did speak about this earlier, of course. Joshua may be fighting Dempsey in April. Just massive news for Dempsey McKean, and just another layer on the cake of Aussie boxing at the moment, isn't it? All the big fights just keep coming our way, and there's so much more to come. Probably Zarafa might be next, although we'll talk about that in a second, actually. But yeah, how big would this be? As I said earlier, I don't think it happens in Australia. I don't think the money's here. So it will be in England. I don't think that'll worry Dempsey McKean. I think he'd love to fight Joshua at Wembley or wherever it might be. Probably get 60, 70, 80,000 people there for all the Poms rolling up, wanting him to see him smash an Aussie. But I think I did see that the only qualms they might have is the fact that McKean is a southpaw. I don't think they want to fight a southpaw, but who knows? Maybe they might want to fight him in case they get another crack at Usyk down the track. Who knows? But that should be a ripper. Look, as we spoke with Carl before, I don't see McKean being a massive threat for Joshua, but Joshua, look, lost 3 of his last 5 fights, so what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen there? So he obviously needs a win, which is why they're targeting Dempsey, and as I said before, you've got to be in it to win it. So I just, win or lose, I just love the fact that I'm not even going to start reeling the names off because there's so many of them. Well, what have we got? The Maloneys and Cambosis, and who else has there been? I knew I should, obviously Tim Zhu. There's Liam Wilson, Stevie Spark, Ebony Bridges, of course, Shanika Johnson. The list just goes on. Jai Pataya. List just goes on and on and on. I hope I haven't missed anyone, but just the layers of the cake just keep getting added on, and it's amazing for Aussie boxing at the moment, that we're known all over Australia, all over the world at the moment. A lot of our fighters, where this wasn't the case a few years ago, and a big lot of credit has to go to No Limit, but also to the Ace Boxings and D&Ls and Tasman Fighters of the world as well, who've done just as much beneath those guys to get these guys to the level. The Brits would get 100,000 to watch a Toad race. They would. Amazing to think that they had. I did read that Tyson Fury's fight last year with Dillian White had 94,000 people at that fight. Just amazing. So if this didn't get 80 to 90,000, I'd go here, I suppose. It's just amazing. And you've got to give it to the Brits. They get behind the sportsmen. They love boxing. And, just an amazing. And it's not just a one-off. Like, I know back in the day with Horn Pacquiao, they got 51,000. Couldn't get anywhere near that with Kambosos and Haney. I know they gave away a shitload of tickets and still only got, I think, 41,000 there. So, well, I know in the Horn Pacquiao fight, no doubt there would have been a few given away, but apparently they sold 15,000 tickets to that fight in the first day they went on sale, which is amazing for Aussie boxing. But yeah, to get 80 to 90,000 there for this would be unbelievable. And in Australia, let's face it, even if it was AJ, it was at the Gabba, I'm thinking no more than 10,000, 12,000. Just my opinion. So why would they do it here? It's all about the money. Let's get on to some world news, guys. And the first one, surprisingly, and I've just got Carl saying, hey, how about it? Tank versus Garcia. Now, it's looking like T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas is going to be the likely venue. It's going to be on April the 15th. Again, a little bit hearsay. Because there's no contracts officially signed yet. I'll get to that in a sec with the contract situation. But April 15th looks like it's going to go down, and T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas will be the venue. How good would that be? Look, maybe I'm missing something here, guys, and you can tell me. I don't see. Look, I know it's big within boxing. Is there enough to get 20,000 people to this fight? Maybe I'm wrong. I would see T-Mobile reserved for Canelo or Mayweather or Pacquiao and these types of guys. 20,000 to Davis Garcia. Maybe I'm missing it. Garcia is really popular. I know Davis is to some extent as well, although his name's been all over the news lately for all the wrong reasons. But yeah, look, they obviously know more than what I do. But 20,000 people, I just didn't think the fight was big enough for a 20,000 venue. And they're talking about setting pay-per-view records and all this sort of stuff. Now, I would think this would not get to a million. Well, if it got a million buys, I think that'd be pretty good. That seems to be the benchmark as far as the best pay-per-views go, or to be a big pay-per-view event is about 1 million. Probably obviously go up as the population gets bigger, but 1 million seems to be the mark. Now, I couldn't really see this getting more than maybe 1.1, 1.2. Let's remember, guys, Pacquiao and Mayweather got 4.5 million views, which is just the all-time record by a mile. I don't know what type of records this is going to break, but if it got to 1 million, I'd be surprised. So maybe I'm missing something here, guys. You're right here, mate. Backtracking. Queenslanders love a good excuse for a piss-up. They certainly do, mate. What do we got there, Carl, again? I got Tank after getting shit on his toothbrush. His girlfriend. Yeah, anyway, we'll move on with that. I think he's in a good headspace. Mental as the physical is 4 is to 1, so they say. Yeah, no, it's good, mate. I agree. Yeah, look, who do you think wins out there, guys? I think Davis wins. I think Garcia has some success early. I think he might even be in front after 5 or 6 rounds, and I think Davis steps up a gear, and I think he can get Garcia out of there. Garcia is very, very dangerous. He's got that wicked sort of whipping left hook that he has. But I just don't think he's got the skill set. I mean, we haven't sort of seen him in a big fight, so it's hard to tell apart from Luke Campbell. But for me, I think Garcia starts strong. I think Davis just goes through the motions for a few rounds, starts to step it up, and I think he can get Garcia out of there in 8 or 9 rounds. That's just my opinion. But that seems to be the news at the moment. There was some news today just come out, guys. I'm not sure whether you've seen this, that Golden Boy has officially received the contracts. There was talk over the weekend that Oscar De La Hoya said if they didn't have their contracts by Monday, they were going to move on. Not sure that was always going to be the case. They want this fight and they need this fight. Massive payday for Ryan. But he has got the contracts, you can see there, in his hand. So let's hope they can come to terms pretty quickly. Oscar did say that all the points are in there agreed upon it, which was all good. It's just a matter of now putting the dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and let's get this fight done. I mean, what are we, 3 months away? Just under 3 months away. So it probably makes sense to start the promotions now. So I think it will be eventful in the lead up, but that's a really, really good sign that the contracts are in hand, and let's just hope there's no little glitching or whatever you want to call it in that contract that again delays things and makes them go back and forth. So, but Oscar is looking pretty happy there. I'm not sure Ryan's looking overly happy. Maybe one of those cases you've got to be careful what you wish for. But look, I think it's really, really good signs that that fight's going to happen. Eric from D-Style, how are you, mate? Great to have you along. I just saw Shannon's post on Instagram. Snap piece of bone in the shoulder. Vitaly quit a fight he was winning for less. We just discussed this a little bit earlier, Eric. Yeah, look, I'm not sure whether you saw earlier when I was talking to Carl about it. I have spoken to Shannon a couple of times, and her left shoulder is just pretty much done. She needs a full replacement, not a reconstruction. She needs a shoulder replacement. So what that means for a boxing career, I'm just not sure. It doesn't look good at this stage. And her birthday's this week. She's I won't say how old she is, but it's getting up there a little bit. So with that, I just don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, it's not looking good at the moment, mate. But yeah, she is a tough competitor. It doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest, mate. I've said on this show before, I've seen her have fights where her eyelids hanging down on her, over her eye. Her cut was that bad. She did not stop for 1 second. I've seen her get knocked down with a cut straight down here and just keep coming and coming and coming. It's just, she's a tough girl. Doesn't surprise me. And I think if she could, she'd be back tomorrow. But in this case, you've got to listen to the doctors. And as I said, it's a full shoulder replacement, not just a reconstruction. So not good. I hope all is well. I hope all is well with you too, mate. And if you haven't subscribed to D-Style Boxing, make sure you do it. They have the round table every week, and I have been on it once. It was great. I hope to be on it again soon, mate. It is a great show, so make sure you subscribe to that as well. Andy, got to ask, how is it PBC and GBP? So Golden Boy get Tank versus Ryan over the line, but not Jamal versus Munguia. Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I don't even try and understand it anymore. I don't know. So, look, sometimes it's not just like you might look. I mean, Golden Boy is obviously the promoter of Munguia as well, but Munguia would also have his own manager and probably advisor and his trainer and team and maybe a relative, who knows, in his ear, maybe complicating things. Maybe that might be the case where Ryan might just be saying, just get it done. So it gives Oscar a little bit more autonomy to just go and get the job done. Because Ryan hasn't had a lot to say other than the date and the venue, of course. He was on social media saying that about that. But there's a lot more. It's not just a matter of Oscar just representing both outright. As I said, Munguia would have his own other people in his background. Got to remember, Oscar's his promoter, not his manager. So his manager might be saying different things. Who knows? Maybe Jamal's team and his manager didn't get along. You just don't know. But in this case here, it looks like hope for the stars are aligning. And Oscar, even though he's had his differences with PBC, and now that the Mayweathers are out of the equation, maybe it's made it a little bit easier. Who knows? But a lot of different things go into these things. We all just say, well, why can't they just sign it and get the job done? It's a lot more complicated than that, I can assure you. I did it at a very, very small level, and it was hard enough at that level, let alone being at the elite world-class level. It would be a nightmare, especially with millions and millions or tens of millions of dollars at stake. It's got me stuffed too, Carl. Jamal is retired, is he? No, mate. He's still around. You'd think he's retired. He hasn't fought for nearly 600 days. So what's that? Nearly 2 years, or a year, 18 months, whatever it might be. It's a long time, mate. May as well be retired. De La Hoya on a roll. New abs contract for Ryan versus Tank. I was going to say, mate, have you seen? He looks in awesome nick. I don't know what he's doing to himself because he's 47, 48. He's in awesome nick. Those abs, I've got to say, I wouldn't mind having those again, but it's not going to happen for me, unfortunately. But yeah, look, good on him. He looks like he's turned his life around a little bit. Obviously went off the rails there a few years back, but I like the fact also with Golden Boy, this probably gets them back into the game a little bit. If you remember back in the day, even though they were arch rivals with the Mayweathers, they were co-promoters with Mayweather's all his fights, so they did all that. Of course, they had so many massive fighters, Hatton and Mosley and Hopkins and you name it. They had all Marquez and all those guys. They had them. They had all the big fights were always Golden Boy, and they've really in the last few years, especially since Mayweather's dropped out, pretty much dropped off and let Eddie Hearn pretty much take the spot. Top Rank's probably stayed the same. PBC has obviously come in. But Eddie Hearn is the one that has really come in and pushed Golden Boy to the side. So I like the fact that Golden Boy is back with his fight because I really like Oscar and Golden Boy. Regardless of what he gets up to in his spare time, that's him. But obviously a great fighter. I love the promotional company. And, and obviously since he lost Canelo as well, hit him hard. But I like the fact now that this is going to be a very, very big fight and gets Oscar back into the game. And let's hope maybe a few of these other fighters that might be a little bit disgruntled with an Eddie Hearn or even a PBC maybe start to look at Oscar and Golden Boy. Because you've got to remember, people go or fighters go where it's almost like moss to the flame, and even in Australia it's a little bit that way with No Limit, and no reason with No Limit, no excuse because of course they've got everything, so why wouldn't you go with them? But people tend to follow, a company that gets on a roll and they put on the big fights and they've got the TV and they've got this and that. It attracts the fighters. And that's where Matchroom got into it for the last couple of years. They've been attracting everyone. PBC have obviously got the hooks into a lot of fighters as well. But Oscar had that at one time, and as I said, now I'm glad he's just starting to get it back because I've always been a big fan of Golden Boy. Just Sub D-Style, good stuff, Carl. You'll love it, mate. They talk very, very good. A little bit similar to our show, and we have 2 or 3, or sort of 3 or 4 of us on here talking. They do it every week. I think they might have half a dozen of them that talk about different topics like we do. They don't have any people come on yet, Carl, so you might have to wait there, mate. You can comment though, so have your say, but you won't be able to get on there and give D-Style a hard time just yet. Happy birthday, Shotgun. Yep, it is on Friday, the 20th is her birthday, so hope she's recovering and gets back on track really soon. I hope Benavides versus Plant happens. Yeah, I'm not overly excited about that, I must say, Carl. I'm a big fan of Benavides. I'm not a massive fan of Plant, to be honest. I think I was really disappointed in his fight against Canelo. I just don't think he turned up to win. He turned up, had a bit of a go. I just don't think he turned up to win the fight, if that makes sense. He went through the motions a little bit, sort of let Canelo dictate things way too much, and didn't try and take it on and win the fight. I sort of lost a little bit for Plant after. I know he was good against Morrell. I think was it against Morrell and looked okay, and got the job done against him. But yeah, I don't know. He lost a bit for me when he didn't really turn up against Canelo. What do we got there? Bolivian nose beers, yes, could be the case there, mate. Loved Oscar as a fighter. He fought everyone, and that's one thing you can never take away from Oscar. And Mayweather and Pacquiao and all these Mosley, all these guys, Hopkins. That's what I loved about them. I'm going to jump on my soapbox here. And everyone goes about, especially like a Mayweather, I didn't fight him when at the peak and whatever reasons or what time he fought them. He fought everyone. The only fighter I could probably think of that he didn't fight at any sort of stage was probably Margarito, but he's probably the only one I can think of. Correct me if I'm wrong along the journey there. De La Hoya fought absolutely everyone. There's literally no one else that he could have fought in that time. Pacquiao fought everyone. Hopkins fought everyone. Roy Jones fought everyone. I just miss those days. Now when we're waiting a year to 2 years to get these fights, and they're getting into this is probably a bit different here with Garcia and Tank Davis. But look at the Spence Crawford fight. I mean, they're both in the mid-30s. We've talked about it on this show before. Hearns and Leonard had their second fight when they were supposedly well over the hill, and they were both in the early 30s. And they were given a hard time then about the fight happening way too late. And these guys haven't even fought once. I don't know. Andy, maybe we're looking at Oscar De La Hoya exhibition about to happen like Florida Iron Mike. Yeah, I would say. Well, he was supposed to a couple of years ago, was it? Or a year or two ago. He was supposed to fight an exhibition and got cancelled at the last minute. I'd love it. I've said on this show before. I love the fact Pacquiao's doing it, and We've seen, I think it's been finalised or about to be finalised, fighting Anthony Mundine, if you will, in an exhibition fight in Papua New Guinea. Our own Peter Maniatis is behind that. How good would that be? It looks like it's going to happen. Papua New Guinea, Pacquiao Mundine. Who would have thought? But anyway, once that gets finalised, we can talk a little bit more about it. But I love the fact these guys are coming back and fighting each other in exhibitions. As long as they make no bones about what it is and don't try and con everyone. That's why I've had this argument many times in here. I've got no dramas with Mayweather or Pacquiao doing these exhibitions, because they're actually out there saying, guys, these aren't real fights. These are exhibitions. You either pay for it or you don't. No skin off my nose. Unlike some of the others that try and, hoodwink people about what's behind it. These guys are up front. I would love to see Oscar in there with someone. I'm not sure who is out there from the fight, but it'd be great to have him back. Fans love him. How good would it be to see him in an exhibition fight? But I'm with you, Andy. If that's the case, I think it would be great. That's a good point. Costa Zoo, he ducked Costa. Yeah, good point, actually. I've spoken to Glenn Jennings about this. It might have even been on this show before, because we did a dream fight with Costa and Oscar. And Glenn said they tried to move heaven and earth to get that fight made. And it was looking good at one stage, and Oscar moved up to welterweight. So make of that what you will. Geez, what a fight that would have been. Who would you have picked if that's the case? I think I would have... I'm not sure who I went for in that one. Maybe I went for Oscar, but yeah, I don't know. I reckon Costa could have won that fight for sure. Who knows? Don't mention Barter Errol. It triggers me. I'm with you, mate. We'll quickly move on for that one. Andy, plant style, burns energy, and didn't have enough pop to get Canel's respect to keep Canelo off him. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. But I don't know. I'm reading too much into it. But when you've got a guy that's fighting for the undisputed world title, and it just doesn't try and take the fight. It was almost in survival mode the whole time. And Canelo, as we've seen, didn't have a very impressive 2022. He got beat against Bivol and then didn't look great against Golovkin. Or Golovkin didn't look good against him either way. But he's not in the best of shape at the moment, Canelo, whether it's mentally, physically. Maybe he's over the hill. Maybe he's had too many fights. He had a lot of fights early. Had a lot of fights for someone his age. So maybe, but his Plant, when you're for the undisputed championship of the world, doesn't matter whether you've got enough pop in your punches or not. You take the fight on and try and win it. He's just in survival mode for me. Look, just my opinion. What do we got? There you go. Hey, mate, here, Manny versus Anthony Mundine. Yep, I just mentioned that, of course. Manny and Mundine. Well, when it's official, which is getting very close from what I've been told, we'll talk more about it. We might even get Anthony on for a bit of a chat. Geez, look, hey, good luck to him. If it's a payday for Anthony, and again, it's just an exhibition fight, I think it'd be great. And for Papua New Guineans, how good's that? I know they're trying to create a bit of awareness on Papua New Guinean boxing. I think it's great, and the Papua New Guinean government are obviously going to fork out some money, so good luck to them for it. But yeah, massive news. Pac-Man, he does. That is the one difference between him and Mayweather. Although Mayweather tried to KO his last opponent, Pac-Man tries to KO opponents in exhibitions. He does. He's a mean man, isn't he, Manny? I wouldn't want to get in there with an exhibition if you think you're just going to go through the motions, because as you said, he tries to take you out. No doubt about that. Pac-Man smashed Keith Thurman at 42 years of age. He did, Carl. And Thurman, has he fought? He might have had one fight since then, has he? Not a lot anyway. Pac-Man still hates everyone, even an exhibition fight. Yeah. Smacks the shit out of him with a big smile on his face, doesn't he, does Pac-Man? Yep, good on him. PNG, Kamals will turn out. Yeah, I think they will too. I think they will. It's hard to believe that Pacquiao and Mundine in Papua New Guinea. Excuse me, just amazing. All right, guys, let's move on to a couple of things in the world news just to finish up. We've got this weekend, Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Smith fighting in Manchester at the AO Arena. So, looking forward to this one. I think it should be a good fight. I think Eubank gets the win here. I think Liam Smith's probably past his best as well. I think he'll trouble Eubank. I'm not a massive fan of Eubank, I will say. I think he's more show than anything. But, I think that'll be a good fight. I'd like to see Eubank win and then maybe get a big fight with a Golovkin or one of these types of guys, because he's due. He hasn't really beaten anyone of note in his careers, but he obviously lost a couple of times to Billy Joe Saunders and Groves was the other one. So, Yeah, so hopefully that fight's a good one. As I, if you haven't been watching the show either, I've said a couple of times I lost all my money to Liam Smith playing him in poker in Vegas. So that's my claim to fame, knowing Liam. But yeah, I hope this is a really good fight. I think it will be. Eubank for me wins on points or maybe late round stoppage. Carl again. I'm Manny. He fought Mario Barrios, a blown up lightweight. Who fought Mario Barrios, mate? Hang on. What have I missed there? Sorry, that was that Eubank? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Mario, yeah, blown up lightweight, exactly. And I'm not a fan of either, Carl, to be honest with you. Your poker buddy, yeah. So I just said there, my poker buddy. He took great pleasure in wiping me out, by the way. Probably about $100 he took off me. But anyway, that's about my maximum I had at the table, and he took the whole lot. Good guy though, really good guy. Up for a chat and just sitting there amongst everyone else playing poker. So there you go. Yep, check that one out. I'm not sure whether it's on. It's on actually main event, guys. If you want to pay for that at 5 a.m. in the morning, that's Melbourne time. 5 a.m. if you want to get up and pay your $30. All right, last one here, guys. Before I take any more questions, Haney and Lomachenko. Looks like May the 20th. It would be in Madison Square Garden they're talking about. What are your thoughts on that one? I know Loma didn't look good in his last fight, I will say. But again, his first fight back for quite some time. And I think he just wanted the 12 rounds under his belt. I know he's probably lucky in the end to get the decision. I think he come home in the last couple of rounds to get the points. But, I think sometimes you need some of these fights to be able to step up. And Haney for the world title, who knows, might just bring him back to being vintage Loma. Although I did say that with Golovkin fighting Canelo and he turned up and offered nothing. Yeah, look, the only thing for me is what makes me swing towards Devin Haney, I will say. I'm giving Loma every chance in the world, by the way. But the fact that when they get in the ring, Haney is going to be massive. Lomachenko is not a natural lightweight. He's probably more featherweight, maybe super featherweight. And he's going to be fighting so what's that at 50? He's going to be fighting about 5 kilos above those divisions. And Haney will probably weigh in, he'll weigh in at obviously at 135. Probably get in the ring at probably, 155 to 160 in the end. That's a lot of weight. For a guy, probably mightn't be that heavy, but he might be, 15 pounds heavier, 15 to 20 pounds heavier, which would put him at about 155. That's a lot of weight to Lomachenko, who will probably beef up to probably 65 kilos. So well, probably not even, probably 62, 63 kilos. It's a lot of weight to give away, so that's why I'll be going for Devin Haney. Sorry, Andy. Yeah, sorry, mate. I couldn't recognise the name. That's right. Thurman fought Barrios. You're right, not Eubank. Sorry, mate. You got me on that one. When was that? About a year ago, was it? About that long? Yeah, that's right. That was Barrios. Yeah, sorry, mate. What do we got there? Heart says Loma. Head says Hugger. Yeah, he's not an overly exciting fighter as Haney, but he gets the job done. Mayweather was the same. So I think he gets the job done, although I wouldn't be surprised if Loma wins, but the Haney for me. What's this here? Elaborate on this one. SNAC is the new boxer's crack. What is that, Carl? You'll have to elaborate on that one for me because I don't know what that is. Any other questions there, guys? I'll just wait that 30 or 40 seconds because of the lag. But, as I said, May the 20th is looking like the date for this one. Madison Square Garden, I did say before, Thurman Spence looks like being late April, I think they're talking about at this stage, and there's talk that it might be in Texas, is what I'm hearing as well. A lot of fanboys forget it was Loma who came up to lightweight and made moves for unification. He did. Yeah, it's one thing to win the title off someone in one foul swoop. Loma went up and did it the hard way and unified the belt. That's why you got to give him a lot of respect, like a Charlo did. He's unified the belts. So good luck to him on that one. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last fight for Haney at lightweight. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up to super lightweight and maybe only there for a couple of years as well, and then goes up to welterweight and fights up there. So who knows? He drains himself. What do we got there? What's this? Snack sponsors Boxing US. It's an energy supplement. Oh, okay. Sorry, mate. I haven't seen that. An energy supplement company. Okay. I haven't heard of it. So they're all behind the boxes, are they? Okay. I haven't heard of that one, Carl. All right, guys. Anything else there? What's this? owned by Victor Conti, who was a Russian drug cheat. Okay, well that probably explains a lot. I'm not sure if I was a boxer over there, I'd be risking the drug testers eating energy foods or whatever, especially if someone like that's making them. But anyway, so it's like the guy here in was it the Essendon supplements guy at Essendon Footy Club. He's still involved with boxers as well. So there you go. All right, guys, just anything else, let me know. If not, we'll call it a night. Keep the questions coming. Just to clarify a few things, guys. So, as I said earlier at the start, this is a bit of a mashup between Talking Boxing and the Boxing Deep Dive show. Tassie's away. Nick Noonan's, I think he's on a golf holiday or something. Peter's off, probably in New Guinea or something up there. But regardless of what's happening, Talking Boxing will be back in its own right next week. And then the week after will probably be Boxing Deep Dive and whatever whoever's available will have on. If not, it'll just be me going through all the boxing news. I'm not sure whether it matters who's on as long as we're getting our boxing fix. That's the main thing. Thanks for the chop up, mate. Yeah, no worries, mate. Stephen Dank, that's him. Yep, exactly. He's the one that was behind Essendon Supplements Saga. So, all right, guys, that's about it for me this week. I'll see you next week for Talking Boxing. It'll probably still be on a Tuesday night at this stage. Boxing Deep Dive will be back to a Thursday. If I'm by myself, I might just still do one show next week. It'll be on the Tuesday, but if the others here, as I said, we'll split it up. Mike Altamura is overseas at the moment in Africa working. When he gets back, we'll get back to doing our dream fights and classic fights. And we might do some interviews and whatever else we can think of. In the meantime, you guys got any suggestions whatsoever? Let us know if you want to see anything. We might next week on Talking Boxing go through the latest rankings of the Aussie boxers out there who might be in line to fight for world titles coming up. There's so much going on at the moment, and any other gossip that I might have, and any other thing we might think of to talk about next week. Let us know and have a think about coming on. You saw Carl do it tonight. It's not that hard. And it's always good to have you guys on to talk in person. So, again, thanks, guys. Really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and everything else on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Share it with your friends, all that sort of stuff. And look forward to seeing you next week.